In this section, we're going to explore the meaning of antiderivatives. So our goal will be to recover a function if we know that function's rate of change. So we want to recover a function from its known rate of change. So in other words, if we're given a derivative function, we want to know the function whose rate of change is given to us. So with that, let's define an antiderivative. So we'll use for right now a capital letter to denote an antiderivative function. So let's say a function capital letter f is an antiderivative of little f, so with lowercase f, if the derivative of capital F of x is equal to little f of x. So just some of the notational language here, right? So this capital F of x, that's the antiderivative function. And this little lowercase f is the derivative function. The derivative gives us a rate of change, and we want to figure out, recover capital F from a given rate of change function. So for example, let's suppose that we start with a function 2x, and we'd like to figure out, can we come up with another function whose rate of change is 2x, right? So we want to find a function whose rate of change, or whose derivative, is 2x. And so you might think about undoing the power rule, for example, right? So we know that, okay, we have a candidate, capital F of x equals x squared, because we know that when we take its derivative, we get 2x. So we have found 1. So this x squared function, this is an antiderivative of f of x equals 2x, because when we take its derivative, we get 2x. And so the question for us now is, are there any others, right? So are there any other functions whose derivative is also 2x? So think about that. Are there other functions whose derivative is also 2x? And your answer might have been yes, there are. Because, so yes, there are. For example, we could have x squared plus 8, right? We know that when we take the derivative of x squared plus 8, we're still going to get just 2x, because the derivative of the constant 8 is 0. In fact, we could add any constant. Since the derivative of the constant is 0, I could say, okay, x squared plus 100,000. Well, that function, its derivative is also 2x. So I can add or subtract any constant and still get the same derivative. And so we would write then that, if I want to write that in general, I could say, okay, so I could write x squared plus any constant c will have a derivative of 2x, where c represents just a constant in general. And so why does this make sense? Well, when we add a constant or subtract a constant, right, doesn't matter whether it's added or subtracted, we are shifting our function along the y-axis, up and down along the y-axis. So it should make sense to us then that, let's just look at a graph, for example. It should make sense to us that the derivative would be the same at a specific point. So let me just create a graph here of x squared. And then we'll see what's happening when we add a constant to x squared, right? So our parabola x squared looks like this. something like this. Not perfect, but here is, let's say, capital F of x equals x squared. If I shift this function, let's say I shift it up 1 unit, then I've moved the vertex up 1. So the function looks something like this, and so let's call this one, I don't know, g of x equals x squared plus 1. And I can also shift it down, let's say 2 units to -2, and that also just shifts the vertex down to -2, but the shape of the parabola is the same. Let's call this one h of x equals x squared minus 2. And so now if I think, okay, pick an x value, and the derivative is the slope of the tangent line at that particular x value. So I'm going to draw the tangent line at these 3 different functions at the same x value. And so what you might notice is that all of these tangent lines, because the shape of the graph has not changed, those tangent lines are parallel, which means that they are going to have the same slope at every specific value of x. So shifting our function up or down, right? Shifting up or down, adding 8, adding 100,000, subtracting 2, it doesn't change the shape of the graph, which means that the tangent lines at a specific point are all going to be parallel. And so we're going to call our capital F of x, x squared plus c, the general antiderivative of 2x, antiderivative of little f of x equals 2x, because this gives us an infinite number of functions that have the same derivative, and their geometric relationship is that they are just shifts of one another along the vertical axis, because that maintains the shape, which means that the slope of the tangent line at any point will always be the same. So that gives us a general antiderivative, which means an infinite number of functions that have the same derivative. We'll do one more example to find this family of functions that have the same derivative. Let's suppose, for example, with our second example here, that we're starting with a function, a rate of change function, g of x equals cosine of x. And we're interested in finding a family of functions that has cosine x as its derivative. Well, we can start with, let's call it capital G of x, and we know that sine x has a derivative that is cosine x. So we would call this sine x is one antiderivative of g of x equals cosine x, because when we take the derivative of this function, we get cosine of x. But we can find an infinite number of functions that have the same derivative, and that infinite number we can write as, let's say, g of x equals sine of x plus some arbitrary constant c, which just means that if I shift sine x up or down with any constant, we're going to have a family of functions that have the same derivative. So this is a family of functions whose derivative is cosine x. And of course, this family has an infinite number of functions with the same derivative. And so this is called, this entire family of functions is the general antiderivative. So just a little bit of terminology. General antiderivative represents the entire family of functions that share the same derivative. Okay, in the next video, we're going to think about finding one antiderivative that passes through a specific point, and then we will generalize notation so that we're not just dealing with lowercase and uppercase functions to distinguish between rate of change functions and antiderivatives.